Half Dozen Customs. We're back out here on this Jeep again. And there's one more thing that's been bothering me. So if we take a straight edge and we come out here to the outside, we're nice and straight. But if we come in here to the middle, there's like 3/8 of an inch gap in the middle. So this middle needs to come out. So I thought about going and getting a Porta power, and then we would have had to push off of the firewall, which is done, and I wasn't really too enthused about that. So I thought about like 2x4 and a sledgehammer, but that's kind of brutal, and you know, you go too far, you're kind of screwed. So I figured out another way to push. So we're gonna start pushing now and see how we can go. All right, let's see if it moves. Oh yeah, it's moving.
Oh.
Need more push.
I watched it come away from the center guy by a good like half an inch. Is that how far you're thinking there?
Yeah, like when you're pushing out on it. No, I don't think it's done anything yet. Keep pushing. Moved some. Let me, while you're pushing,
Okay.
and you got full weight on everything, I'm gonna give a couple of whacks in some areas. Yeah, we're probably like a 1/4 of an inch now, so we've gone out 1/8 of an inch.
Did it move that?
Yeah, no, we were like 3/8 of an inch now. I would say we're like 1/8 of an inch at the bottom, and a little fatter than 1/8 of an inch at the top.
I mean, I want to see you trying to crawl my fingers. I don't know, guy.
Oh, wait. I don't fit in here.
You're making fun of me saying I'm all strong, guy. Kill yourself.
Oh. Yeah, it looks like you got more room than you really do.
No, you don't. It's very small.
Okay, so as you can see, what we're trying to do here, I got Colleen up against the dashboard here with her back, and then she's putting her feet up on this brace and pushing with her feet. You know, we've loosened everything up. There was bracing up here. I took all that out to try and push. I had her pushing, and I tried, you know, smacking like right here at the corner to get, you know, sometimes when you know, smack on some stuff with the hammer, it, you know, allows it to move a little bit, which, you know, we did get it to move. You know, I'd say we got about half of it to move. To me, you know, it already is looking better than it was. So, I think now what we're gonna attempt to do is, I'm gonna heat up this here with the torch on both sides and have Colleen push and see if we can, you know, just get that little bit more out of it. Like I said, it was probably 3/8 of an inch, and we're probably an eighth at this bottom rung. As you can see, I was holding the straight edge up there. Probably an eighth at the bottom rung and a little more than an eighth at the top rung, probably like 3/16. So you know, we've definitely gotten it to move. Let's just see if we can get it to move a little more. Be right back. The other thing I could think of would be to cut and then do push, and I'll weld it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is right inside here, we're gonna put a relief cut both sides, and then I'll have her push and we'll weld that up.
It's falling right where you needed it to.
It has. We'll see if it falls in place this time. And Colleen was just saying, I don't know if you guys could hear her through the mask, but she was saying that, excuse me, everything that has been off and we've had to cut it like this, it just pops right in place. Let's see. Last night we had left off with me and Colleen trying to get that back wall pushed out, which we did not get it pushed out enough to where I'm satisfied with it, but I am way happier with the way that it looks. I was thinking that we can start getting this roof finalized and ready for body work. But before we get going on the body work, somebody has sprayed, and I've talked about this before in the videos, somebody has sprayed, I don't know how well you guys can see all that, but somebody has sprayed like, I would say like a rattle can bed liner up on that roof. So, you know, that roof was beat to bejesus. So on the inside, my guess, they sprayed that up there to hide all the damage from the inside, because you can see it inside. So with that all up there, you can't really see it. Well, it's been flaking and peeling off and falling off ever since it got here. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna try a wire wheel. I have the burnishing tool. We can try that if the wire wheel doesn't seem to be working. And if all else fails, you know, I'll get the grinder out and we'll start grinding. So it's coming off. Coming off a lot better than I thought, but way too dusty. Stuff hit me in the face, so I'm gonna get a face shield on, and we'll keep going. Okay, so I blew everything out twice, and then we sprayed adhesion promoter like all the way around. And I decided not to do the rattle can after we had put that adhesion promoter on there. I was just getting ready to turn you guys on and spray the rattle can in there. But so here's the thing. So I have like a gallon and a quart of Rust-Oleum bed liner. And normally with that stuff, you get one of those weird sponge style rollers, and you roll it and brush it on, and the stuff I'm not a fan of it, but originally I had bought it. We had bought in a vehicle. I still have it. We bought a vehicle and we did some normal maintenance to it. And we were going to turn around and sell it, and I was going to use it for like undercoating. Because, you know, a box of undercoating was $150, and I was able to get this Rust-Oleum bed liner for like $50. So, and we still have the vehicle. I never used it. There were some major problems with the vehicle, and here it sits. So anyway, so I have that stuff left over, and my thoughts are to use that on the inside of this cap. But I want to, I don't know, they're bed liner guns. I call them like hopper guns. They remind me of what you would use to like popcorn your ceiling in your house, like back in the 80s. So I have these guns, and I want to do a test panel with that Rust-Oleum bed liner and see what it looks like when you spray it through that gun. Is it going to spray out lumpy and textured like a bed liner should? Or is it going to just hose it on and it's going to be running off the panel? You know, if that's the case, then we're not going to use it, and I will order Rhino liner. I ordered color match stuff to do the bed in Rhino liner, and if this Rust-Oleum stuff won't work, then I'm going to order black Rhino liner to do the inside of the cap. I want it to look nice. I know that Rhino liner, I've used it 100 times. That stuff looks awesome. But to use up that Rust-Oleum, if we can, we're going to use that. If that's the case, there's no issue with me spraying over the rattle can, because it's Rust-Oleum and Rust-Oleum. We're okay. As long as it's scuffed good, you know, we're good to go. As far as using the Rhino liner, that is an automotive product that shouldn't be sprayed over a Rust-Oleum rattle can. And I Googled it to see. It says technically you can spray it over Rhino line, or over Rust-Oleum rattle can, but it's not suggested because those two products don't mix and there could be an adhesion problem. So it suggests that you sand all the rattle can off before spraying the Rhino liner on there. Well, if that's the case, then I don't want to use rattle can on it. Okay, we got some 80 grit. We're gonna run around this windshield frame here, get this sanded down, and I did grab the Marglass or Duraglass, and you know, we'll get a coat on this. soon as we get this prepped out. So we got rust holes here, and you can see the tape through those rust holes now. And what that does is that keeps the Duraglass from seeping out through the back. If you don't put that tape on there, then it's going to seep out through the back, and you're going to have like little worms almost like hanging off the inside in there. So you don't want that. There's really no interior that goes in here. You know, if you run your hand across inside there for any reason whatsoever, you don't want to feel strings of filler hanging through there. So put a piece of tape back there. It'll keep it from seeping through. And like I said, it's not the proper way to do this. Proper way to do it is to cut it out, replace it. Being the inside, I'm not doing that. I have done this for years on multiple projects that just don't deserve to, you know, have stuff cut out and welded, or, you know, people who just want quick repairs. Like, you know, this is what you get. Duraglass is the best stuff to use for that. But I think it's perfectly fine for an inside piece, and that's the only reason I'm doing it. But we'll get this coated and nobody will ever know, and it'll last forever. So like I said, if it was outside and it was in the weather and it was going to be getting wet and this and that, if you can't get to the backside to protect it, you know, then I would suggest, you know, cutting it out and welding in a new piece. But okay, so we got some 180 here. I looked 180. I got 320, 180, and then 80 grit. I don't want to use 80 grit on it because it'll tick off too much. And 320 is just not enough, so. Okay, so you can see I pulled out these two bars. I'm not pulling out the middle one, though I would like to, but these two bars over here, when I went to take these out, they broke off in the floor. The bolts broke off in the floor. Now, I'm not too worried about that because the seat sits on top of them and the seat gets bolted down. So the seat will hold those bars in place on the bottom. So I'm not worried about that. But if we try and take those out and they break, then we're going to be drilling and tapping or using self-tapper screws, which will be sticking out through the bottom, and I don't want that. So we're just going to leave the middle one alone. Alright, well, you guys are seeing what I'm having to go through. I'm gonna go run through and do that side. And then we'll be back, I guess, when we jump up to the front. So I have these giant chunks of foam. These things are not cheap. But we have, so there's a brace that's on the inside of this piece that they have on that side. It's still there. But they have something like this in between that brace and the outside of the truck. You can hear. So, and if I stick this in here, no more. So, super happy that that fits. That side, I don't know if it'll fit. Remember, we replaced this outside of the metal, so what they had there before is no longer there. So I needed something to put in there. This will work perfectly. I'm not going to stick it in right now. I need to get some paint in there first. But I know that they fit. I just got to remember to put it in. I'm going to put it in before we start body work. So, like I said, this side still has it, and we're not going to get that out of there. So, that one's in there. The only reason I was able to get the other one out is because we had that piece of metal out. It came out with it. So alright, I got I'm gonna bring the chair and the scuff pad over here, and we're gonna scuff up the inside of this one over here. And then I'll kick you guys back on. We're gonna do some work along that back window where I put that Duraglass up there. I'm not expecting it to just be ready for primer in the Duraglass. If it is, that's awesome. But I highly doubt it. I expect to get this sanded down, then we'll put a lightweight filler coat on there, and then that'll get sanded down, and then it'll be ready for primer. And then once we get that ready for primer, I don't think that'll be tonight, but maybe tomorrow. Then I'm gonna mix up a little bit of primer, and we're gonna prime that back window trim piece. And I'm gonna blow some primer anywhere that there's bare metal. Basically, the whole inside of the roof is gonna get done because there's just bare metal all over the place. And then wherever else it needs it, we're just gonna blow dust one coat on it. And then before we actually do the painting and undercoating and everything in here, we'll scuff it, sand it, whatever we need to do. So, but like I said, let me get this scuffed up and we'll be back to start body work up there. But we got all that sanded down, and we got a fresh coat all on that bottom there. We'll get that sanded up tomorrow. I did hit that spot right there. Half of that area gets covered by the seat when the seat is in there, but the seat does fold forward so that you can slip small stuff behind it. But that area there was a huge, there was a huge deck right here, which stretched this area out. We had to do some heat shrinking there. So I just threw one light coat over it. We're just gonna sand that down with the DA tomorrow. I'm not really worried about it being like perfectly straight. I just wanted to take it was wrinkly. I mean, you could feel hammer marks in it, and you could feel some wrinkles. And if we can just kind of knock that down a little bit, then I'm good with it. It's getting, like I said, bedline. Once the bedliner's on there, you're not gonna be able to tell any of it. It would have been close to whether or not you could have seen it prior if we wouldn't have put anything there. And I could have just kind of I don't want to say boogered the bed liner on right there, but I could have put it on a little extra heavy and it would have been fine. But I had the filler in my hand. I think it was a good idea to hit it, so we did. And then I also hit just a couple of spots up there, which we'll just DA that out as well. That's what I grinded down. It looked like there was something that was welded up there before. I don't know if it was a previous mirror. This mirror that we pulled down, it definitely wasn't put up there from the factory. Somebody put that mirror up there. Whether or not that mirror belongs in this truck or not, I have no idea. But the hardware was, I don't want to say it was modern hardware, but it definitely wasn't from this Jeep. You know, it was, you know, a flathead screw with a nut at the top and then a smaller flathead screw at the bottom that actually, the bottom nut is actually part of the vehicle. So, but I think that there was something up there that maybe the mirror attached to, and that was cut off or removed for some reason. There was something up there that was cut off. And we grinded that area down. And now I just coated it. It'll make it nice and smooth up there. Because you can see, like, whatever was welded there, you know, they probably used some kind of pinch welder or something. So there was some pinch welds there and then a booger that we grinded down, smooth it out. So we're gonna let that stuff sit till tomorrow and we'll get that dry. We'll get that sanded up once it's dry. I think right now I'm going to, let's jump back up to the outside of the roof. You know, I think the inside's pretty much done other than just taking care of that back window. Let's jump back up to the roof. Whoa. Excuse me. Jump back up to the roof with the DA with some 80 grit. We're gonna start getting everything sanded down and cleaned up. Maybe by hand, take some 80 grit running around inside the strip rail. You know, we got the roof all cleaned up and sanded down once before, so most of it I think is pretty good. But we went through and we sandblasted a lot. So we need to go through and we need to clean up that sandblasting. And maybe we'll throw a coat of lightweight filler up there. So let's get to it. Grab a big guy. I'm gonna kick on the heat for a little bit. It's not bad in here. It's 50, but I can see my breath, so it's a chilly 50. So let's kick the heat on for a few minutes, and we're gonna get this coated up here. I'm gonna mix it right on the roof. If you haven't seen like the Monte Carlo roof that I did, like when it's all bare metal up there and it's clean and it's ready for its first coat, I'll mix it right on the roof. Once it already has a coat on that, I don't do that anymore because the resins and the raw filler that doesn't have any hardener in there will absorb into the filler that's already on there, and could cause an adhesion problem. So I don't ever do that once it's already got a coat on there. But when it's bare metal, fresh, clean up there, I'll mix it up. I'll mix it right up there. It ain't no different than, you know, me mixing it on a Bondo board. If you watch other people on YouTube, or maybe you're a car builder yourself and you know, like, there are a lot of people who use like raw aluminum or metal mixing boards. So it ain't no different. So we're just gonna mix it right up there. Okay, I think we got a coat on here. I think it's a good coat. You know, I'll say it again. I've said this many times before that the majority of this gets sanded off. So it may look like I'm putting a lot on, but I'm gonna sand, 70, 80, 90% of this off. And we are going to work on getting some of this lightweight filler that we put on last night sanded down. Man, sanding it by hand might be faster. Okay, I think that all looks good. That little section over there, I think we're still going to do a little bit more with that. Like, it feels nice and smooth, but I'm just not, it needs another coat over it. So, and I think the coat needs to be spread out around the edges of that. I didn't spread it out far enough, so that was a big area that was hammered pretty hard. So that is where the back of the cab got punched into, or the back of the bed got punched into the back of the cab. Got the inside all wrapped up. I'm happy with it. I'll show that to you guys in a little bit. But we're gonna start sanding on this roof. This morning, cleaned up a little bit, vacuumed everything out, blew everything out. I had forgot yesterday, I had coated a couple spots right up above the rearview mirror there where something was welded in and cut off. I sanded those down. We went around the drip rail and made sure that any, slop or splatters from coating the roof was cleaned out. And then we went through and we coated all the low spots. I figured you guys have seen me spread that roof and whatnot. I didn't think it was something very interesting to record, so I just got it done and got it out of the way. And now we're gonna start here. I'm gonna start DAing and cleaning this up, and we're gonna get some Duraglass spread over the welds and any other areas that I feel necessary. you guys still on here? I got some Duraglass here on the board. Get it mixed up. And we're gonna get started on this side over here. And yeah. So we're gonna do the same thing over here, just, you know, sand it down with some 80 grit, and then I'll rough up the areas that are getting coated with the grinder, just making sure it's extra clean and extra grabby. And then we'll get a coat. We'll get a coat on this stuff over here, and we'll jump back up to the roof. So. That's the first I've caught that. That's lead work. I was cleaning this up. I broke through right on the corner. I forgot that this is actually just a piece of sheet metal. I had it in my head that it was a thick chunk of steel like the front one. So we gotta weld that up right there. And then the antenna hole that we welded up, there's a couple of spots on that need to be hit. So I'm gonna get the welder together. We're gonna get over here and weld this up and clean that up, and then we can get a coat on it. Okay, so you can see there's a couple of pinholes we're gonna take care of there. Much better. Now I'm gonna hit this one down here on the corner that I did the boo-boo. Like I said, my fault. I forgot that this wasn't a piece of thick steel. Okay, we're back up here on the roof. Earlier this morning, we spotted in all the low spots. Just got the air file with a fresh piece of 80. We're just gonna try and concentrate just on those spots and not the surrounding areas, so that we're taking more product off where we don't need to. But it is getting recoated again, so if that happens, it happens, but let's try our best not to not to take too much off. Okay, I think that's good enough for now. Okay, so we're gonna coat it one more time. Okay, got the mud hog here with some 36 grit on it. Hopefully it'll make quick work of this. Okay, I checked that other side over there. It feels like it's ready to sand, but we gave this stuff, I don't know, probably 6 hours to set up, and that side's only been, you know, an hour and a half, maybe 2. So I think we'll just let that side sit until tomorrow. And we'll get this coated over here. Left off with getting this coated last night. I think we're going to start off with sanding this. Try to use air file where I can. You know, down on the bottom we got that little rocker extension piece that will be in the way, and then along this edge there's this body line that goes all the way down. So, you know, we can't run across this flat with the air foul like I would like to. So I think it's kind of gonna be a mixture of air file and hand sanding to get that looking right. So I'm gonna start with this piece up here by hand, and then we'll jump down there. So. Well, what's come out smooth, feels good. Still needs some work around everything. You can see the areas where we're breaking through to bare metal, and we still got low spots around them. So, you know, we'll go through. I'm gonna sand this back corner. We had a little left over and put it on this back corner. So I'm gonna sand this back corner real quick. I think we'll just use a mud hog because we're not trying to make it perfect. Not yet, at least. But we'll just knock that down real quick, and then we'll put another coat on that up there, and then we can jump over to the other side, and we'll jump over to the other side and we'll mud hog that side, and maybe get a coat over there. We shall see. Let's get to work. Okay, we got that all cleaned up. I'm gonna put a coat of lightweight filler on it, and then we're gonna call it a night. Off camera, I sanded down what we coated earlier on this driver's side, and I recoated the whole driver's side. So I think it's looking good. I'm happy with it. The reason that I recoated the entire thing, you know, I really didn't want to go any, hey, look at me. I really didn't want to go any farther than just filling the low spots earlier, because we need to get the door on, and I need to make sure that this is body worked out even with the door. But after filling those low spots earlier, I went through and I sanded them all by hand, and was, you know, very careful not to run too much over onto the first coat that we put on, so that I wasn't creating more low spots. And I got it all sanded out, and I ran my hand over it, and it did not feel good. It was very bumpy and wobbly. It was not straight, you know, plain and simple, it wasn't straight. I ran over it again with the air file. It helped a little bit, but still wasn't straight. And, you know, I understand, like, you know, first coats up here, like what we did on the roof, you know, they're not gonna be straight, you know, with one coat. So, you know, I understood that, but I don't know, just being down low, I was feeling it. It wasn't that big of a spot. You know, I just recoated it. So, tomorrow we'll get that sanded down. And, you know, hopefully then, you know, we'll be pretty good with it, other than just maybe making it better up against the door. We'll have to see. You know, it is what it is when it comes to the door. Like, you know, if I put the door on, and like I said, I don't remember anything really being that bad. Maybe along the back side of the door there might have been, you know, some areas that needed a little bit of work, but I don't really remember too much up at the front. But you know, if we got to build up like an 1/8 inch of filler to make it match up with the door, you know, that's a bit much. You know, I'll do what I got to do to make it look as best as possible. But I don't want a 1/2 inch thick of filler just to line up with the door. If that's the case, then we have bigger problems, and I don't remember anything like that with the door. You know, basically what I need to do is I need to put the door on, and then we need to coat like all the way around the door and the truck together, and then it gets sanded together, and you should be nice and straight and pretty then. And that's why I didn't want to go too far with this front piece, because really we need the door on, and it needs to be all coated as like one panel, and then you sand it as one panel, and then that's how you get your straightness out of it. So but like I said, we should be able to get the doors on this weekend, at the very least. I want to get that back wall pushed out, and I want to get the doors on, and if we can, we're going to put the front end on too. So, but anyways, I'm going to mix up some filler and we'll coat that over there. Actually, now that I think about it, we need to I forgot about that right there. Okay, so we got a coat on that. This side is definitely going to need more than the other side. And you would think, you'd think it'd be the opposite way around, because the other side was hammered super hard, and we went through and we straightened all that out. But this side, if you remember, it was hammered even worse, and we cut it out and we put a new piece of metal in. And you would think that this side would be a little bit better because we put new metal in there. But the thing is that we got, there's a weld that goes all the way around this. And then we got the weld that goes through there. There's a weld along the bottom from the company who made, that lower piece. Also, not much of this was on camera. I don't think I recorded a whole lot of it. But there was, from them doing this weld down here, there was like a pucker in the metal up here. There was a high spot in the metal. And then from me moving this piece or whatever it was, I remember that there was something that I did that we welded up. And with their buckle and then my buckle, it kind of bent the piece out of shape, and we did a bunch of heat shrinking on it to get it back to straight again. And we were able to do it. I did not record that part. I know I didn't record that part. We were able to get it back to straight again. But there was a lot of work that went on this lower piece down here. A lot of hammering and dollying and heating and shrinking. And so, you know, even though we got it nice and straight, there was still a lot of hammer marks in it. And, you know, it wasn't perfectly flat. You know, it wasn't something that we were able to run through the plenishing hammer or the English wheel or anything trying to straighten it out. Unfortunately, I'm not that good with those tools where we can, you know, if something happens like that I can run them through those tools and make them absolutely perfect. For some odd reason, I make them worse. That's why I said I'm not that good at those tools. So, but anyway, so I just know that there's a lot of work that's going to go on in here. So I know this is going to need probably an extra coat. So right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to set you guys up on the other side. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to get the rattle can black. And we are going to try and get as much of the inside of this panel right here painted. Reason being, if I can reach my hand through here. Oh, no, it's pretty stout. But I don't know if you noticed when I was sanding it or when we were putting on the lightweight filler here, like there is kind of, in the middle of this panel, there is kind of a tin can effect. It's not warped or anything. It's a nice straight panel. It's just there's nothing behind it supporting it, and there is supposed to be. I talked about it in a video the other day where I have this thick foam block that's sticky on one side, and there's a brace back there that had it looked almost like roofing tar paper, a very thick piece of roofing tar, like what you would put underneath the shingles, but just a very thick piece of it. It's on that side still from the factory, but this side, when we cut all this out, we lost that piece. And what it did was it gave kind of a brace between the inner structure and the outer structure. They actually have this brace that's bent up in there that's riveted to the inner structure that comes in, drops down, and goes up, and it gave you like a platform to stick this like tar paper on that they had that was like this thick, and then this panel set up against that tar paper, and it didn't allow this panel to push in, move, vibrate, anything like that. And like I said, we that piece was damaged from all this that went on, and when we pulled this out, we lost that piece, didn't lose it, threw it away. And now we're going to stick this giant block of foam in there. But before I stick that giant block of foam in there, we need to paint in there. There was a whole purpose of me saying we're going to paint in there. Hopefully it made sense. I showed you guys in last night's video or the video before, I don't know. It's this big giant foam stuff. So but if you see in there, it's you know, we still got bare metal in there, so yeah, no, it looks good from over here. I was gonna see it at 100 miles an hour. You know, a lot of that gets, you know, I wanted it painted so that it, you know, the metal's protected, because there was a new piece of metal in there. That's the whole reason we painted it. But, you know, we're bedlining all this in there. some bed liner is going to spray in there, which is also going to help add some strength to that panel. Plus we'll have that cushion in there now that will keep you from being able to push in. I painted it because I want to get that cushion put in there tomorrow before we sand it, because I want, if you watched when I was using the big mud hog on it, like it was, you know, it was vibrating and very noisy. But if we put that piece of cushion in there, that'll stop me from vibrating. So it'll help us with sanding it. Then, like I said, it gets bedlined in there. Not that I'm gonna like try and reach up inside there and bedline all that, but whatever goes through those holes goes through those holes. And then you won't ever see any of that because it has an interior panel that covers it. So technically I don't even need to bedline it because it gets an interior panel, but you know, why not just hit a spot that big when you're hitting everything around it? So, but yeah, it looks good. I mean, we got some runs in it, but who cares? You'll never see it. All right, I'm out. We'll be back tomorrow for some sanding. I don't think that we're going to be able to do too much more with that side over there. Hopefully this side we'll be able to sand and it'll be pretty close. That other side, I have some to hit some low spots, but that's it. I don't have enough to coat another thing. So, you know, like I said earlier, you know, this weekend I think we're going to do some reassembly Johnny 5 on this guy. Work out a little bit on that back wall. We can start some work on the doors. I was talking in last night's video that I do have, even though we're just about out of lightweight filler, I do have some Duraglass. So we can continue on with Duraglass work, and we have, you know, we did those lower skins on those doors. So we can, you know, we can coat the welds on that and get that sanded down. There was some pretty bad damage on the one door. We can get that roughed in. There was mirrors on it that, you know, there's those big trucker Dumbo mirrors, I call them, Dumbo mirrors. Those were on there that we welded up all the holes for, so we can coat all that stuff. So there's still some stuff that we can get coated. And then, like I said, some of maybe the bad areas on the back of the truck, we'll coat with that just to be able to get it coated, add some extra strength to it, whatnot. So we'll keep working on it, and hopefully soon we'll have some more lightweight filler and we'll be able to keep going on it. But we're getting there. I think I think the doors are going to be the next big project. But hopefully pretty soon everything's going to start coming together and we're going to start getting stuff ready for primer, you know, pretty quick here. I mean, we're kind of getting everything roughed in right now. And then it'll be, you know, spending, you know, once it's all roughed in, we'll probably spend, you know, a good week, you know, just making it all straightened out. So anyways, I'm out. Have a good night. Remember, like, subscribe, share, leave a comment. I'm out.
Oh.